Hi everyone, this is Susan Givens. I am the publisher of Auto Success. Hope everyone is well. Thank you for taking the time to join in for this webinar today. The title of this webinar is 4 Common Misconceptions About Digital Retailing, and it's sponsored by WebBuy. Digital retailing solutions aren't magic. They take more preparation than just signing an agreement with a vendor. This webinar will focus on 4 key areas for your store to focus on as you prepare, so you can achieve optimal conversion and achieve 25% or higher close rates. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping items. If you have questions for our presenter, just type them in. We're going to hold all of the questions till the very end, but just type them as they occur to you. The way you ask a question will vary depending on your device. If you're using a laptop, a desktop, or a tablet, there is a GoToWebinar frame on the right side of your screen near the bottom, and it'll say questions. Just click on that triangle to the left of questions, type it in, and hit submit, and it'll come straight to us. Now, if you guys are on a mobile device, they're all a little bit different. You'll either have a header, a footer, a picture frame around your screen. Somewhere on there, you will see a question mark. Just touch that, and it'll allow you to type your question. Depending on your device, sometimes you can swipe to go back to the webinar, or on other devices, you'll see a little television screen. You can click that and it'll send you back to the webinar too. Now, for any reason you lose connection and you need to get back in, you can just re-enter it using the same link that you did to join us right now. A couple more things I want to mention before we get started. If you haven't been to autosuccessonline.com, go there. We have tons of new content. You can check out past issues, our blogs, view videos, listen to some past webinars, find out about future webinars. If you're there and there's some content on there you would like to see and you're not seeing it on our website, just reach out to me on social network and I will make sure that I address it and we get you the information that you're looking to see. Now let's get to the good stuff. I'd like to introduce our presenter. Today we have Chris Gugliotta. He is an automotive industry expert with over 25 years of experience. He has both dealer and vendor expertise, helping thousands of dealers maximize sales through enhancing their digital marketing strategies. Chris has 15 years at Lithia Motors and 10 years on the vendor side, helping companies such as Dealer.com, Cox Automotive, Model, and others. Now, let's get this presentation started. Chris, my friend, please take it away.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm glad I have this opportunity to present to you and kind of walk you through some the common misconceptions of digital retailing from my perspective that I think dealers go through when trying to adopt or learn to adopt digital retailing. Click through here. Okay. The goal for today, again, I just want to ensure that you guys have success as you integrate digital retailing into your dealership. Digital retailing was a buzzword prior to COVID. Once the pandemic hit, it kind of was expedited into practice at the dealerships. But from my perspective, we got to take a step back and really look at, what we adopted, why we adopted it, what we can do to make it better. So again, what the goal is, we want to look at 4 areas. The first is your dealership culture ready? Is it ready for digital retailing? Have you really looked at it from the perspective of your complete culture as a store? Again, number 2, not all digital retailing apps are created equal. There's lots of options out there, and we'll talk about that and really make sure you do your homework and due diligence in looking at each of the tools. Number 3 will be your marketing investment. Advertising and discussing what digital retailing is really essential to making it successful in your dealership. And then number 4 is training. Training is a key for success in anything, but really, really important with digital retailing as it touches so many different departments on the new and used vehicle side, and it touches so many different aspects of the deal itself. So at the end of this presentation, we will have a white paper available. You can send us an email. We'll also have a follow-up survey that'll have links to the white paper available in there. So a little background on me, and I'm doing this because I want you to have an understanding of the perspective of where I'm coming from when I bring up some of the things that I've seen as digital retailing is being rolled out. And again, as you can see behind me, I'm a big Oregon Duck fan. Hopefully that doesn't impact anybody's opinion of what I'm talking about today. Again, repeating, 25 years in automotive, 15 on the dealer side. I actually started in 1995 at a dealership here in Medford, Oregon. It had multiple franchises there back when multiple franchises were under one roof, which added a complete different dynamic to the selling. I actually started washing cars. I wanted to have a job that I could quit when I was in college, but quickly within months of being there, they saw that I had this internet passion for the websites and online, which back in 95 was just kind of beginning. So they threw me into internet sales, said, here, sell. And very similar to what we're going through today with digital retailing, I had to battle. I had to battle the general manager. I had to battle the desk. I had to battle other leaders inside of Lithium Motors at the time on why I was doing the things I was doing, because they viewed it as an internet lead, and that doesn't mean anything unless they're actually at the dealership. So again, very similar to digital retailing today. Over the next 15 years, I rolled out a lot of new technology, new innovation, things that were new that were coming to the industry, whether that's CRM tools, websites, photo process, all things that needed to be, trained, implemented, and rolled out to the dealers. I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about communication, and we'll talk about that as I go through today. 2011, I went over to dealer.com and really helped grow website penetration and really helped grow dealers being successful using the website and really utilizing that tool to sell more cars. And in the past several years have really dove into what I call changing the industry and helping the industry change in a positive way, right? Not just changing because it needs to, and doing that through new innovations like AI or digital retailing and some of these other areas. And so to kind of talk a little bit about, what I learned from that is, again, in working with all these dealers and rolling out new technology, is continuous training is really, really, really important. You can't just roll something out and not go back and train on it monthly, quarterly, and not just training your salespeople, but training the desk, the F&I department, the general manager, making sure everybody's up to speed on the tools that you have in place to help sell more cars. The second thing there would be embrace change, right? Be open to change. I think change happens, it's inevitable. Trying to stop change is actually very detrimental to growth, but really embracing it and really understanding why things are changing and looking at it from the perspective of why am I doing this, not just that I have to do this. And then something that I've really focused on over the last 2 years is always learning, always listening to podcasts, always getting on Clubhouse, always watching webinars to learn more and absorb that information and really figure out how to make myself better, but also make it to where we can help dealerships sell more cars and become more profitable. So what I'll dive into now is I'm going to go through the misconceptions. Misconception number one, and I hear this all the time as I talk to dealers, is if you build it, they will come. The Field of Dreams picture there, I think, depicts kind of, what we go through as general managers or owners on, hey, I just need to add digital retailing to my website, and by doing that, I'll just sell more cars. Or by adding it, I'm instantly going to sell 25 cars outside of my market. People will just fill out all the paperwork, and we'll just have to ship the car to where they're at. So as we dive into that misconception, we really want to talk about what it is we need to be asking ourselves. And so the biggest question I ask a general manager or an owner or anybody that's having a conversation with me is the management team really ready to embrace digital retailing solution? Are they doing it just because the OEM said to, or are they doing it because they really want to focus on the complete omni-channel or customer journeys that a customer can have with your dealership? So again, truly embracing your digital retailing requires the entire dealership to evaluate the customer journey. So it can't just be a general manager saying, here's what we're going to do and do it, right? It has to be that everybody evaluates why we're doing digital retailing, from the desk manager to the internet or BDC manager to the dealer principals, the F&I manager, F&I department. Again, are they all on board with digital retailing and what it's trying to do to help the customer journey and really add the ability for that consumer to engage with you at your store, with your inventory, right? Are we truly doing it for that reason? A couple questions that I throw out as thought starters or to engage in this conversation is, do you believe in remote delivery, right? It's a big question, and the answer to that question usually lets me know of, are they adding digital retailing just because it's a widget, or are they adding digital retailing because they want to provide an additional experience for the consumer? And again, that varies. Some people are signing up for digital retailing and don't want to deliver remote. Another question is, do you want to offer remote test drives? This is a new thing, especially with COVID, that really got pushed in, is do we want to offer the ability to take the car to the consumer and actually have them test drive off-site, so they actually don't have to come down to the store? Do we want to offer accessories and packages online? A lot of dealers today still don't want to be completely transparent with F&I packages, with service contracts, with certain accessories on what the pricing is. Again, it's growing and a lot of dealers are becoming more comfortable with it, but it's still a big conversation when we talk to stores. Desk managers embracing the transparency of digital retailing. This question really sparks a lot of conflict and questions, because they're the ones that are actually looking at the deal when somebody's actually completed it and making sure that everything is checked off, and to make sure that it's compliant and that it is profitable for the dealership and that the consumer has done everything that they need to do. So the desk managers are a really crucial part of this to make sure that everything is accurate, that everything is filled out and complete, that all the rebates, everything came over. So again, a good question to ask. Another one is understanding DR is only one of the customer journeys. Any digital retailing company or vendor out there that's trying to push that you have to do digital retailing or you're not going to be successful is partially correct, but it's not. That's not what's going to make you successful or not successful. It's a part or one of the customer journeys that people do. So understanding that it's going to be supplemental, that it's going to add additional deals, that it's going to allow you to look outside of your market or provide an opportunity or choice for your consumer is the better way to be evaluating digital retailing. And again, what I said earlier, is digital retailing part of your dealership culture? Is it really ingrained into everything you're doing and everything you're speaking about? And then another little roadblock that we run into is, have you adjusted comp plans that are maybe blocking or creating conflict with digital retailing? And it's a small thing, but I'll tell you right now, somebody's comp plan or how they're paid really impacts their buy-in and adoption of new technology, especially with digital retailing. If, for example, if my BDC department is paid solely on leads to show conversion to getting somebody into my dealership, then they might not be spending the time to really engage with the consumer in digital retailing and walking them through, what they need, answering questions. Their sole focus is just getting them to the showroom floor. Then that's counterintuitive or against really what digital retailing is about. One thing to focus on is that digital retailing is not, a one-size-fits-all strategy. I always tell dealers that digital retailing needs to be encompassed or ingrained in your store from your brand, your image in the marketplace. Don't try to make it something that you're not. Really, really, really important. As we talk about marketing later on in this conversation, you'll see that that's really where it stems from, and really where you dive into the specifics. Again, evaluating different DR customer journeys at your dealership, it will allow you to look at strategies, and strategies down below. For example, trade-in. Do you offer a guaranteed price online, or do you want to just get a lead and require them to come into the dealership for an inspection? F&I packages. Do you want to offer them? Can the customer actually browse and select, protection packages, accessories, parts, all of that online? Pricing perspective, are you a one-price dealer versus you want to allow negotiation? That's really crucial as you dive into this, because a consumer, most likely, if you allow negotiation or want to go down the road, is going to have to engage with you at some point before they click the buy now button or actually want to purchase this vehicle. So understanding how the tool works when it comes down to that, and understanding what your strategy is to allow that negotiation and to utilize the tool to engage back is really important. Financing, do you want to offer just a soft credit pull, or do you actually want to go through with the loan approval? Again, a good question or a good decision that needs to be made as you're adopting digital retailing. And then back to delivery, do we want to offer remote delivery or an in-store pickup? Again, still conflicting messages as I talk to stores. Some stores don't want to really offer it. They'll do it, but they don't want to offer it up. They want to try to get as many people to do the transaction at the store. So again, 3 questions to go back to kind of sum up this first misconception is everyone on the same page? And if they're not, really solve that before you really try to adopt or really spend a ton of money on digital retailing. Again, is compensation blocking success? Make sure that there is no roadblocks there. And then the third is your team trained on the tools. Really, really, really important. Don't just turn on something as important as digital retailing into your tool and not make sure that everybody's trained on that tool. All right. Misconception number 2. It's just a widget I'm throwing on the website. It'll be easy. I've heard this for years as I've rolled out new technology, whether it be websites going to mobile, right? Oh, nobody's on mobile. I don't need to worry about it. Or, you know, when you start doing advertising, display advertising, and driving them, I'll just have them land on my homepage. They don't need to dive in. You know, anytime you look at something, it's not just as easy as throwing a widget, especially digital retailing. Digital retailing, again, touches so much that it really needs to be looked at. So when you're looking at all the elements of digital retailing or really looking to evaluate tools, make sure you select the best in class. You know, make sure that you have one that works with your franchise, with your OEM. Some OEMs are mandating certain tools that might steer you down one road, but make sure that the tool works for your dealer group, works for your branding, it encompasses everything that you want it to do, and then you don't have to utilize other tools or widgets to supplement an area that maybe it lacks in. I feel for you guys on the dealer side right now. There's a lot of companies offering digital retailing. So my advice is do your homework. Really spend time diving into, you know, pricing. Is it accurate, right? Does it include everything that it needs to include for a consumer to truly transact online? Customer receives credit decisioning real time in the tool. A lot of DR tools out there will allow a credit app to be pulled in, but it doesn't really do anything with it. It just sends it to the dealership, and that requires this downtime or you know, incorporating your in-store process back to the consumer. That time you could lose a consumer that was really looking for the full, you know, complete time-saving transaction to be done online. Another thing to really look at is taxes and fees. Are they accurate at the local level? This is really, really, really important as we start to get into the complete transaction, is making sure that, you know, down to the municipality of the actual taxes. Sometimes zip code doesn't get you enough. It's an actual address that you're at that might be $500 to $1,000 difference in the actual tax that's going to be assessed to that deal. So again, understanding that your DR partner is diving into that. Real-time offers on trades, you know, can that consumer actually inside the tool receive an offer and accept that offer on their trade? Again, it saves time, it saves the consumer having to do something else and follow up with the dealership just to get a number that you maybe already could provide automatically through the tool. Ability to offer remote vehicle delivery. This is becoming more and more important and part of the branding and advertising that dealers are doing. So make sure that that's available. And then again, offering customized accessories and F&I products. Make sure that it's you, right? If you have a specific package that you've been offering for years and you want to continue to offer that package, make sure that your tool allows you to customize that. A couple of areas that I like to talk about, and what I don't want to do today is dive into the technical aspect and dive into all the nuances of a digital retailing tool, but just really talk about how complex it is and the different journeys or different options you want to offer. You know, for example, on the screen here, just 2 simple purchase options for a consumer would be whether I want to purchase or whether I want to lease. And that changes the complete aspect of the deal when somebody's doing it without somebody sitting in front of them. You know, we control as a dealer penciling and the write backs that we send back to a customer so they can, you know, look at options as they're looking at a vehicle. Your tool should be able to provide all the things that we want to offer to a consumer instantly. So for example, looking on the screen here, the left side with the purchase, you know, there's certain incentives and rebates that are available when I'm doing a purchase. The top one there, the Nissan cashback, is $2,500. But then when you dive over to the right and I want to do a lease on that same vehicle, now my customer cash or lease cash changes, but my APR, my lease rate might be really, really, really low. So again, transparency and allowing the consumer to see what they're doing and understand that small changes do impact a lot of things, price, tax, whatever that might be. So giving them visibility, but from your perspective as a dealer is understanding, is all of this accurate? Is it what I want to offer? Is it clear to me so that when a customer calls my sales staff and says, I'm on your website and I got an offer of $311 and I want to buy that now, that they understand what the customer saw when they did that, and that it does include everything that needs to be in there, or if it doesn't include something, what needs to be discussed with that consumer. We also need to make sure that from a technical or the details point of view that we're offering more. One of the things I see with DR is we don't take this opportunity to let a consumer self-select or to add additional profit measures to their vehicle. In the dealership now, we wait for the F&I department to kind of offer those up. When we go online, we sometimes miss that opportunity, or we don't take advantage of it throughout the shopping process. And so here you can see an example of, don't just offer up accessories, show them more information, show them a video, show them a picture, make sure that they understand that it can be financed. There is a price if they want to pay for it. Show them those things, right? I might not want to spend $200-300 on a bike rack, but I will put it in my monthly payment if it's small enough. Same thing with the extended, service contracts and back-end F&I products. Again, don't just say, here's a 60-month, 60K protection package. Actually show them what that would break down to. Give them a video to explain it. Take that opportunity that maybe you don't have an F&I manager to talk with them, that the tool can actually do some of that selling for you. Okay, so misconception number 3, and this dives into the marketing side of things, but again, customers buy everything online, they'll know what to do. There's a lot of advertisement out there, a lot of new companies that have come to this space. Tesla has been doing it for a while, Carvana, Vroom, Shift, inside of automotive specifically, that are pushing and advertising this complete online outside of a dealership experience. Amazon and Apple have been offering the, good online buying customer experience for a while. Customers are very savvy. We all do it. I spend 90% of my time on my mobile phone. I buy everything online, right? But I think the way that I relate digital retailing to the advertising side is really looking at what Walmart's done, for example. Walmart has almost 5,000 stores in the United States, makes a ton of money, and is really in every market. Well, a couple years ago, they started offering this, pickup and delivery at their store. Well, if you go to Walmart today and you wanted to learn more about that, they have videos that explain it. It's really intuitive. It's very simple. They make sure that the consumer understands, what they're doing when they actually want to buy their groceries or stuff online and pick up. And I think that's something we need to focus on as a dealership. We're not saying as a DR vendor that dealerships are going to go out of business tomorrow, right? What we're saying is that we want to offer choice, and we want to make sure that the customer feels comfortable with doing the transaction online, and that they're going to give their credit information and the numbers that they're seeing. So what we want to talk about is make sure that you explain that to them. So, do the customers know what buy online really means, right? When you add buy online. So make sure you're getting the word out to the customers, and I'll share some examples here in a second about utilizing your website banners and your drop downs. Traditional advertising, I've seen TV commercials, radio commercials explaining the buy online process and what it is that will deliver remote to you and remote test drives, whatever it is that you want to advertise. Video online, I think, is becoming very crucial. Testimonials or just videos explaining and leveraging those again in social. Again, remember, DR is just providing options to the customer. It's not the only option, and it's not like you can only buy online or nothing. It's just another way that they can interact with you and get their purchase started. A couple questions here. Do you have banners on the website that promote buy online? Again, the explainer video, is it on your homepage? Is it clear? It's there. Customize your branding to be you, right? So again, if you've got branding specific to your store, make sure the digital retailing is incorporated into that, but not a separate process. It shouldn't feel disparate or feel separate or different. It should just feel like part of what you're offering. It's just another channel. a big one that's really relevant today and something we see inside of our tool is promoting We'll Buy Your Car. Inventory is going to be a very crucial aspect of being successful in 2021 with the chip problems and the shortage of inventory, the price of going and acquiring cars going through the roof. We see a huge success in dealers that offer, and promote this We'll Buy Your Car, get an instant cash offer, whatever that is. And then having that tool be inside is really crucial. Make sure your materials in the showroom, especially your service department, as people are sitting around, let them start engaging maybe with trade-in or trading or engaging with purchasing a vehicle, but make sure that they understand they can go online and do that. And then really over the last couple of years, advertising agencies are becoming really savvy and really involved inside of the digital retailing tool. That's very important as you leverage digital retailing, is to make sure that your agency is on board. They don't view DR as a threat, right? It's something else, and they can't point to success as an ad agency. So make sure you're diving into that aspect with your agency. So here's an example, and I'll dive through a couple of these, and just to showcase, how everybody words it differently. And if you're visiting, competitors out in the space, everybody talks about online buying, express buying, remote buying, all differently, right? This one, you can see the banner there with the O'Brien Group. Here's another example of, again, really showcasing mobile on the screen, save time on your car, buying your car online. Again, it doesn't matter really, the specific words, and I think a DR vendor shouldn't say, here's exactly how you need to word it. The key is really making sure that it's clear and that it's easy for the consumer to understand. Here's another example, and really looking at OEM compliance, right, where they might restrict you. You can see down below, they buy from home, right, and you can actually click there to learn more. Or sell from home, right? We'll buy your car. Again, it's the things you see here is really just engaging consumers where they are, but making sure that that message is clear and concise and upfront is really crucial. Here's another example, and this, as I shared earlier, is you can see on the left there, the instant cash, right? We want for your car. Buying a car through here, we see a lot of dealers utilize our tool and utilize our trade aspect to make sure that they're offering, a quick, firm offer on a car, trying to acquire, consumers' vehicles. It's the best vehicle you can acquire, usually for, the least amount of money, and right now it's very crucial. And you can see on the right, the buy from home. And you can see this one really explains safe and secure, all the things that make a consumer understand that, okay, I feel more comfortable in what I'm gonna now do online. Here's an example of the button layout and really the click CTAs, as we refer to them in the industry. You can see on the left here, they have the 3 simple buttons, added in some branding, right, to make it their own, right, and to make it feel different than maybe some of the other sites consumers looking at. The thing I want to point out here is the keeping it simple and keeping it concise. Sometimes dealers add too many things to their site, right? They want to add every option and every tool, and sometimes that confuses customers, right? So you can see on the right over here, you have an example of a lot of calls to action and a lot of click-throughs, and some of them might be relevant, but you can see from a consumer's point of view, 2 examples there is we have get pre-approved and then get financing online. Do we need both of those? Are they both valid options, or do we want to just get somebody into the process? So really making sure that you look at it from not just like, hey, I want to talk about digital retailing, but what's my customer's experience, and is it easy and intuitive, and are they actually getting into the process? Social, as I talked about, make sure you're sharing this message. And one of the best ways to do it is to not have the dealer talk, right, or a vendor talk, but to actually have your customers share their experiences and talk about it. Reputation management, reviews, referrals are very important in today's selling environment. And this is one aspect, especially with digital retailing, where the consumer can tell it better than we can. So I think we really encourage you to utilize your agencies and record and get customers sharing testimonials of how easy it was to utilize your digital retailing tool. Again, here's utilizing social to promote, we want your car, driving them back into the tool. Again, just a good way to acquire inventory right now, especially in a market that is needing inventory. From a marketing point of view, I really have 3 questions I always ask when I talk to dealers, right, to make sure that they're looking at this from the customer's point of view. Is your DR tool engaging for the customer? So when they go in there, does it answer and allow them to do the things they want to do? And are they spending time in the tool, or are they dropping out, right? Really making sure you're looking at those analytics. Are they really engaging with your tool? If not, evaluate how they're getting there and what the tool does, but really make sure you're looking at that. Second thing is make sure it enhances their shopping and buying process, right? If it does not enhance it or make it a better experience, then it's the opposite. It's a hindrance, and it's creating a roadblock or a problem. So make sure you're actually doing that. And one of the best ways to do that is to actually yourself make sure you're in there testing it all the time, submitting leads, walking through with friends and family outside. And then number 3 is customer satisfaction. Has it improved by adding digital retailing? To add digital retailing and to then not measure the success of that outside of just volume and sales are my customers enjoying this? And has it increased, my repeat referral and awareness inside of my market as a dealer is really crucial. I want to make a kind of share a little story here too while I'm on the screen. I personally, as I talk about digital retailing with dealers, went out and actually bought 3 vehicles utilizing all the different technologies that are out there. So I've bought from Carvana, I bought from Vroom, bought from Shift, all to make sure that I really looked at it, not from the technology point of view, but I looked at it from the customer experience point of view. And I looked at it, what did I feel and how easy was it for me to do it? Really was a good experience for me to make sure that I truly was looking at digital retailing as I talk to dealers from a consumer's experience or a consumer's expectations, not just the dealers. And the final misconception would be, hey, my staff already knows how to sell cars. This is just another lead source. I'll just let them kind of come in and we'll just work them the way that we work everything else. And I hear this a lot. Or, hey, my sales team will figure it out and we're all good. It's just another traditional lead. So when you dive into that comment or question, it's really making sure that you spend the time to train everybody again, whether it be sales team, F&I managers, desk managers, about the potentials for digital retailing and really everything that it does. Diving into the tool, training on what is the trade-in process, what number did they get back, why are we giving that number, to the financing options, right? When they change their credit score, have we set it up correctly in the back end of the tool to make sure that it's offering up the interest rate that we want to offer? Is that offer profitable for us, but at the same time intriguing for the consumer? So I think training really on the tool and the process is extremely crucial. Again, I've said it a couple times, digital retailing is really, really, really complex. It's not just I'm gonna submit a lead and you can call me and let me know I just bought the car. You got to go through and you got to select your credit and how much cash down do you want and rebates and I have a trade, and it really is complex. And so training everybody on the tool and what it does, it allows your consumer to feel more comfortable when they engage with you, that you're answering their questions and that you understand what they're going through and what they're seeing, and that there isn't this brick wall that's put up or a disconnect between your consumer and you. And then also making sure you understand the in-store to at-home or at-home to in-store process, right? People might want to start online, come into your store, and then leave again, right? And go finish online. Or they might start in your store and then go home and finish. And so really understanding the tools and how they work in both aspects is really crucial. Access to your control center to monitor the consumer is really crucial in making sure that you are following the customer and where their roadblocks might be. I think a lot of dealers don't spend the time to find out, where are consumers leaving my tool, right? They're starting and are they leaving and not coming back? Is there something I'm not offering them? Is there a common trend or trait that is creating this roadblock or lack of visibility into the tool? Reporting and analytics, as I talked about, make sure it's part of your weekly sales meetings. Make sure that DR is front of mind, and then it's not viewed as just this side thing that's over to the side, supplemental to what we do. Make sure that everybody, F&I, sales team, truly understands where you guys are being successful and how digital retailing is actually helping grow sales or profitability at your store. Make sure that those analytics and reporting are being kind of implemented into your cadence of what you do. Make sure you have a documented process and customized word track for BDC. Again, making sure that you're really understanding what you're saying and how you're answering questions to the consumer on what they're actually seeing and what they're going through when they're on the tool. You know, don't just assume that they understand or know everything that they're seeing in front of them. Make sure you're taking the time to be empathetic and understand and listen, and then respond with suggestions to help them feel more comfortable in the buying process. And then make sure you're recurring the training, right? So make sure that you're not just training one time and not following up. We know today that, you know, sales teams turn over, they leave, they change stores. So making sure that you're training monthly, quarterly, to make sure that everybody's up to speed on your tools, what's offered, where is everything displayed, and that there is no confusion or nobody wants to point blame that, oh, it's wrong online, and that's the DR tools problem. Making sure that they understand where everything's at. The co-browsing experience, really, right, when you look at this from the home to showroom or showroom to home, is really, really important. Making sure that the tool allows, you know, for a consumer to be engaging, whether they're at home, at the hospital because they're a nurse and they're on break, and then they're in there actually engaging with you, and you're able to, as a dealer, not just say come in tomorrow or let me send you something, you know, in an email, that you can actually log in, make some edits or changes to the deal, and then send that back to the consumer, so they can see that those changes have been made. That would allow you to really transact and sell cars from anywhere, whether that be you're on vacation or remote at home, consumer wherever they are. You're able to actually desk and finalize deals from remote or using whatever technology you have. So that's a big thing, and making sure that the consumer understands how to do that, and your sales people or your desk understand how to use the tool and utilizing that technology to sell and transact online. And then one of the biggest things as we talk about DR and as we talk about really training is truly understanding that online sales has really stemmed from this problem that dealers take too long, or it takes me 2 to 3 hours to buy a car. And we've worked really hard to try to change that over the industry over the last 10 years especially, but it still takes a long time, whether it be backed up in F&I, whether it be multiple people at the store, it still takes, in their mind, too long. Now, digital retailing, if you look at it from start to finish, doesn't take that time down tremendously, but the consumer perceives or feels that the time has been a lot less, because they're doing it on their time when they have availability, and, you know, whether that be at 3 in the morning because they get off shift and your dealership's not open, but they're able to still interact with the tool and do some things to further their shopping experience or buying experience. So again, evaluating time, and then evaluating the time of the store is, if you are focusing less on having to respond to leads and send price quotes and do things, and you're able to focus more on product training, remote delivery, engaging with customers that have really in-depth questions, then you're able to utilize your time better, whether it be less staff or your staff utilizing their time better. Again, it's all time. So really evaluate your tool and your process to make sure, are we focusing on the customer experience, and are we making this an easy experience and to where they value the time they do spend engaging with you, and that it's something they want to continue to work down. So to kind of recap what we've talked about a little bit, from just kind of back to the 4 points, is your dealership culture ready? We talked about, are you doing this for the right reasons? And if you're not doing it for the right reasons, then as a management team or as a group, get together and say, you know, what are we really doing this for, and how do we need to look at this differently or change, to make sure that it's just part of what we do. It doesn't need to become who you are, it just needs to become part of what you do. not all digital retailing apps are created equal. Lots of competition out there. So make sure you're evaluating, what do they really do for me, and does it provide the experience for my store and my consumers that I wanted to offer. The third thing, marketing investments. Make sure that you're spending the money and the time to explain this tool to the consumer and to your salespeople also. I think it's making sure they understand what it does, how to engage with the tool, that they can enter from many different areas. Make sure you're spending that time and investment on the marketing side. And the final piece is training. This tool is complex. Make sure you're going back and training your salespeople on the nuances of the tool itself, the back end settings, the leads that you get. What do they mean? If I get a digital retailing lead, are they done? Are they just starting the process? Like where is this consumer at? Where are they taking off? Making sure you're training the team on how to utilize that, engage, and to further the consumer along in the buying process. So again, training is very, very crucial. If you focus on these 4 areas, you will be successful with digital retailing. I didn't dive into a lot of stats today around what we're seeing and where we're at, because it's still very much all over the board. There's dealerships that are very, very successful with digital retailing and some that are not successful with digital retailing. And it really comes down to these 4 areas when I start to dive into why maybe they're not successful or why they are successful. So make sure you take the time to dive into the holistic approach of digital retailing. So again, I want to thank you. Again, about 45 minutes, which is great. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys in making you think about why you adopted digital retailing and what you need to do to make it better in your store. We do have a white paper available. Again, there's the email address, and I will open it up for questions, Susan.
All right, thank you, Chris. That was an awesome presentation. I have seen the white paper. It's got a ton of information and nuggets and content that you'll be able to utilize at your dealership. So my best advice of the day is to take advantage of that. Before we get to the questions, which you can still ask questions, go ahead and start submitting those in now. I wanted just to take a minute and let you know we're going to do a survey at the end of this presentation. If you could fill that out, that would be great. It helps us learn what content you're wanting in future webinars. With that said, one more little nugget, we have been recording this. So if you want to go back and listen to something, or there's someone at your dealership that you think would love this webinar, then we will be sending out an email after the event with a recording of the webinar, so be on the lookout. It'll also be on autosuccessonline.com in the next few days. All right, you ready for some questions, Chris?
I am.
All right. From a solution standpoint, what are 2 or 3 most important features?
Say that again.
From a solution standpoint, can you give me 2 or 3 most important features you would look for?
Yeah, I think, and again, based on experience of where dealers are being successful or not successful, number 1 is the trade-in. Making sure that your trade-in process and implementation is not disparate or outside of the tool. It's really crucial. I think customers start the process and feel like they have to go somewhere different for the trade. That really throws a wrench in kind of the experience being in its own environment. The online instant approval is probably the second most important. And I think for the consumers that want to transact online, make sure that your tool actually sends it out to the banks and actually is getting credit approval back, right? That somebody's actually being approved on a loan. And so when they see that you've been approved, that meets your requirements as a dealership, but also the consumer feels very comfortable in going the road. So that's probably the 2 most important as we look at digital retail on the aspects of the solution.
Okay. What data is valuable when enabled in DR?
I think really, and gosh, data, we have so much data in the industry right now. And when you look at every aspect of what we do, sometimes it's data overload. And I've heard a lot of people in the industry talk about attribution and the whole thing. I think when you look at digital retailing, again, focus on where the consumer's falling out or completing the process. That'll really let you know where their engagement is stopping or continuing. For example, if they start the process, calculate some payments, and get to the trade, but they're stopping at the trade, is that a hindrance? Is the tool complicated? Is it not giving them what they want to see? So I think that's really the data behind that, right? Showing that where the journey is. Another huge data when looking at digital retailing is looking at product adoption. And what I mean by that is the back-end selling of accessories and parts and F&I products. As you start to offer that, back-end is one of the biggest, money makers for dealerships. And I think one of the threats with online, especially as digital retailing is coming up, is that I'm going to make less money, or that's going to be threatening to me. So I think really focusing on the analytics around how much are people adding during the shopping process, and am I selling more or less of my protection packages or accessories and that kind of thing by having this DR experience. I think it's a good data set to be looking at when you're reviewing your digital retailing.
Perfect. Okay, it seems like our sales team will see digital retail as a threat and therefore not want to support it. How do I get the sales team to buy in, and what is the best way to gain adoption?
Great question. Probably the number one would be training, right? I think they're going to view it as a threat if they don't understand it. So that's probably the number one thing. And that's been with anything. You go back to the 90s with websites. Everybody viewed the website as a threat because now all of a sudden my price was online. Or I don't want to be on mobile because I don't want them to be able to transact at a competitor's lot, right? All these things, they're threats. Well, with digital retailing, what I view is it's so complicated that if they're not trained, then they're going to view it as a threat for them. And so that's probably the number one thing I would focus on, is the training of the tool. And then probably the second part would be implementing digital retailing into your overall conversation, whether it be sales meetings and success, right? So when you're reviewing success for the month with your team, that it's part of that. So it feels like it's part of the growth of and the culture of the store, and incorporating the success and failure of DR is just one aspect of that. And so I think that'll also bring adoption and bring success by making sure it's part of a general conversation and part of the culture of the dealership.
Great answer. What tactics are the most successful dealers using to gain the highest conversion rates?
Well, I think it's making sure that it's incorporated in their advertising and their marketing, right? That you're not just throwing it on the website and leaving it there. If you're actually driving traffic or through your advertising, focusing on a specific outcome that you want to have, whether it be targeting outside your primary market area, trying to drive 100, 200 miles away, right? Whatever those are, I think that's really crucial from the marketing aspect, is to that you're there. And then the other thing is just constantly adding new content and refreshing it, whether it be social or video. Engage where your customers are and let them start to see it and feel comfortable with that experience.
Perfect. All right, I think we have time for one last question. How can I train members of my sales team to coach a customer and actually buy a car online?
I would go back to what I said earlier. Number one, training, but number two is actually have them do it, right? I think if I'm a salesperson and I've never gone through the process on the website of transacting online, then I don't know what that customer's feeling or what they're experiencing. And that's really with anything. We all recommend and suggest to people or our friends and family when they say, I want to buy this, or I need this service done at my house. They're going to ask us, hey, who do we recommend? It's the same thing when we go to buy a car. The consumer is going to most likely be looking at the inventory or want to get recommendations from somebody. Well, if I feel comfortable as a salesperson walking through the process and truly understand the tool, well, then I can coach and guide and recommend, hey, man, go to my website. It's so easy to transact online. Or the opposite of that, where if they haven't gone through it, they might not talk about it. They might not promote it, and therefore not getting that full experience or understanding of how the tool makes it easier and makes it better for the consumer. So again, really go through it. I've said this for years now with anything, is this new technology, don't just look at it and do your homework. Actually dive in and do it yourself. That's the best way to really understand what's going on with it.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. Guys, thank you so much for attending this webinar today. Just a quick reminder, send an email to info@webbuy.com if you would like to receive the white paper that Chris recommended. And then also be on the lookout for an email from me with the recording of this webinar. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you to our audience. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks, everybody.